Says I'm live, so you let me know if it comes up at all.
Still says it's connecting.
The delay. No show up yet. Maybe go back out and then go back
Yeah,
in.
I'm resetting.
Okay. No?
No.
Okay. I think I'm live though. Let's see. Maybe we entered a little too early. Okay. Let's go. Maybe we should just wait until I'm in there.
I said you're live.
I know, but I need you to see me here.
All right.
Okay. Am I on? You see me? Okay, good job. Welcome everybody to Civics for the Soul. As you all know, this is a place where we talk about civics and history and community. And today, I have my 14-year-old EP working with me on it. So I think we got it all straight. So thank you for being patient. Welcome. So listen, today we're going to talk about that chick. That's why we were playing this. Let's see if we can hear it. I love that song. Okay, so we're going to talk about that chick. So that's that Trump chick. That's that far right chick. That's that conspiracy theorist chick, the Confederate chick. That's Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who we all know and we refer to as MTG. But today she's going to be that chick. So MTG, that chick, is Congresswoman in the 14th Congressional District in Georgia. So if you think about it, Georgia is split up into all these districts. It's in the northwest corner near the Alabama state line. And I know Alabama's like, why are you bringing us into this? But anyway, she's over there. On Friday, she's in the news because she had to testify in an administrative law proceeding. Why? Well, the voters in her district are seeking to disqualify her from running for re-election based on what we call the disqualification clause. So a lot of people don't know about the disqualification clause. It's in Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which is one of my favorite amendments. I've always said that the 14th Amendment, the 13th, 14th, and the 15th Amendment, those Reconstruction amendments, are some of the best ways that, and the best steps that we've taken to sort of make the Constitution real for everybody. So real for this multiracial coalition, real for Black people, Hispanics, Asian Americans, the indigenous. Some of the best language that we have is there, even though our Supreme Court tends to, play games. Anyway, so let me read you Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. It says this: no person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who having previously taken an oath. So if you took an oath before as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature or as an executive or judicial officer, basically everybody, okay? To support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. So this is sort of like this all-encompassing provision, this Section 3. And it's the reason why so many of us have to take oaths. If you're a police officer, you got to take this oath. If you're an officer of the court or a lawyer, we all have to take this oath. I swear that I'm going to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. The reason why they had to do that, of course, was because of the Civil War. So Section 3 came about after that period where you had all those Confederate states, I think it was 11 of them, who decided that they wanted to secede from the Union. So in order for them to be readmitted into this newly constituted government back in like 1865, they all had to sort of take these new oaths and agree that anybody, the former Confederate officers, if they had previously taken an oath, then they can't run for office, basically, they said, because we don't trust y'all. Y'all always doing too much. So they said, we don't trust you. You can't serve again. So that's what the provision says. Here's the problem with that. Eventually, they just basically forgave everybody. So there's a small part in Section 3 that talks about if you took the oath before, then you can't serve again if you've been involved in this insurrection, unless 2/3 of the Congress removed the disability from you. And that's eventually what happened, I think in like 1872. They basically said, oh, it's all forgiven. Y'all can continue to serve. So we've had Confederates like ever since. But anyway, in this case, in order for Georgia to be admitted to the Union, they had to agree that no one who's been disqualified previously under Section 3 would hold office. So how is this being used in this case with that chick? So in order to disqualify her, people have to go through a number of steps. So the first step in this case is that you have to file basically a lawsuit or a complaint, and you got to file it with the Georgia Secretary of State. And we'll talk a little bit in a minute about why, elections matter, and not just for governor or president. Secretary of State, powerful office. So we'll talk a little bit in a minute about why elections matter. So if you want to take a look at the actual lawsuit, it can be found at freespeechforpeople.org. I just went on there. I took a look at it. I read through it. It's a decent lawsuit. It's a novel challenge in this regard. Normally, when you file a complaint with the Secretary of State and you say, well, this person isn't fit for office, it's normally based on some other issue. We have not used it where we've said we're going to disqualify you basically because you participated in an insurrection. The last time that happened was, of course, the 1860s. So this is going to be a novel challenge. It's going to be interesting to see how this sort of plays out. So the people in her district said, okay, the legal challenge is this. We're accusing her of violating the disqualification clause under the United States Constitution because she supported the rally that preceded the January 6th insurrection. So they're focusing a lot of because we don't have a lot of information now about exactly who planned what. So they might not be able to say that she planned the insurrection, but she did support this rally that preceded this insurrection that got everybody all riled up and crazy and whatnot, and had them marching down the street so that they could put up the gallows and do everything else. So the suit says this: MTG encouraged and was otherwise involved in efforts, one, to intimidate Congress. And remember, they were intimidating Congress, the vice president. They brought a gallows. They went into the Capitol. They peeing everywhere, smoking weed, doing whatever they do, because they wanted these people, they busting out windows, intimidating them to try to see if they would, one, invalidate the electoral votes, and two, subvert the essential constitutional function under the Constitution. Now, what does that mean? It's very important. When you subvert a constitutional function, the function that they're talking about is the 12th Amendment. That's where you've got the Electoral College and the process of how you count votes, certify votes, peaceful transition of power. All of that is in the 12th Amendment. So they're saying that she knew by inciting these people, getting them riled up, telling them that they got to go to this rally or whatever, that it would eventually lead to violence and the insurrection. So that's how they're going to draw this thing together. Okay. Step 2, you have the hearing. So the people filed it with the Secretary of State. Secretary of State has to automatically, he has no choice in this. This is Brad. Y'all know how I feel about Brad. Brad has no choice. He has to give her notice that there's this issue, and they send it to the Office of State Administrative Hearings. Okay, great. They send it there, and then they have to do this hearing. They get the witnesses in there. They testify. The judge has about 30 days to issue a finding of fact, conclusions of law. And then Brad has to decide that he's going to either accept what the judge says or deny what the judge says, and then that's it. Okay. So I was watching the hearing. I don't know if you all were watching it either, but I was watching it, and this chick claims she can't remember anything. She don't remember it. I do not recall. I do not recall if I said that Nancy Pelosi is a traitor. I do not recall. I do not remember. Okay, she's lying. We all know she's lying. And it drives me nuts because nowadays people, they can just decide, oh, I don't remember something. Now, what that allows them to do, you can't get them on perjury because they're not lying, but you certainly know that they're not telling the truth. And the whole purpose of these proceedings is to get people to tell the truth. So this is what they asked her about. This is one of the biggest points of contention. They asked her about her Facebook account. And this is what she did. She liked a post calling for Democratic House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to be shot in the head, basically. She said she had no memory of that and said anybody else could have been responsible for that. And she felt like she was so smart. Like she's real smart. She thought, oh, I'm not the only one who manages that account. Anybody manages that account. I don't know if I said it. So I'm watching this. I'm like, I'm looking at the lawyer on the other side. I'm like, you just gonna let her get away with this? I'm like, how? Really, dude? Like, how? You can't just let her get up there and lie. Like any responsible lawyer. Now, this is trial techniques 101. You learn this in law school. I guess not all law schools are made alike, but basic trial techniques. Now, I used to be a litigator earlier on in life, and I was not a prosecutor, but I was a litigator. Basic questions. If she says something about, well, I don't remember multiple people manage that account, then you've got to nail her down. The first thing I would say was like, okay, well, what is the name on the account? What's the Facebook account? Is it in your name or is it somebody else's name? Okay, well, if it's in your name, now who are these people? Are these people who work for you? Do you pay them? Are they volunteers? Okay, so you direct what they do. And if she tries to get around that, be like, okay, so would they normally like run this on their own, or are they only doing this on your behalf? Oh, okay, so it's on your behalf. Okay, so clearly they're doing it at your direction. And then if she really tries to play around with you, you say, okay, tell me this. Is it a general policy in your office that people will like posts that you dislike? How does that work? They're out there liking things that you don't like and they're running on your behalf. Doesn't make sense, right? That's how you get her nailed down on it. If she tries to push back on it, you'd be like, look, these people are working at your behest. And so what you also have to pin her down and say is this, well, okay, if these people are just running the account, I mean, what was your response when they did like it? And word got back to you that they liked this particular post. Did you take it down? Did you change it? Did you tell them not to put that up? Because you could change, the conditions of what happens here. Don't let her just get up there and lie. And that's my issue. All these people, nobody's serious on this thing. Like, she's not a serious person, clearly. She's not a serious person. She thinks this is all a joke. She's a Confederate, whatever you want to call her. She's not serious. The attorneys who were supposed to be fighting for the constituents, they not serious. I mean, at least ask some questions to get this going. You're not even like nailing her down on it. And she's not that bright. It's not that hard to do. I'm like, these people paying you all this money to do it. You don't even know. So the people on the other side, they're not serious. The whole process, you got a bunch of unserious people who are dealing with serious matters of insurrection, violence, treason against the government, who are reducing this entire experience to something that is very unserious and political theater. And at the end of the day, the only people who are going to be victimized by this are the existing people who've already been marginalized by this whole experience here in America. You know, the Black people, Hispanics, Asian Americans, Indigenous, we're the only ones who are going to be harmed, while all these other folks up in North Georgia, all these other conservatives, while they out here playing games. So what do I say? Listen, I don't know how this is going to play out. I suspect, I mean, the only glimmer of hope in this is that she has to affirmatively prove that she is qualified. So I don't know what her response is going to be. But I suspect this isn't going to go very far, because as soon as the judge, whatever the judge says, they got to send it over to Brad, who's the current Secretary of State. We all know Brad talks out of both sides of his mouth. That's the one reason I will say Donald Trump was right about him. He talked out of both sides of his mouth. One minute he said there's no election fraud, and then it's all Stacey Abrams' fault because, you know, why not blame a Black woman? Anyway, you got to send this to Brad, and Brad has to decide whether she qualifies or not. I don't have much hope in that. But what I will say is this: come this next election, I need everybody to take a closer look at this particular office, the role of this office. And if you care in any way about voting, then you have to make sure your voice is heard on this. So that's all I got for today. I want to thank my 14-year-old EP. He hasn't been monitoring the chat, but it's okay. We're doing well today. I hope you all enjoy the day. If you liked what you heard today, you have to like, subscribe, send it to a friend, have them like and subscribe. And we'll be back next week talking about something else. So thank you all so much for your time. I'm going to go back to the Is That Your Chick? So y'all have a good one. Thank you. Peace and love.